Hey, gun people. Well, it's kind of I was trying to wait to see if more information came out about this Mark Anthony Condit, 25-year-old white male that they seem to be pushing, but some interesting investigative things are coming out. I still would like to see the search warrant on what's going on, but let's point out some of the things they used to catch this guy. So, one of the things they used was the cell phone tracking, or they called it a phone. One agency or somebody reported they called it a phone tracking dumps. And evidently, what they're doing with this cell phone tracking is they have the ability to cordon off an area with the cell towers and put a search engine on there and find every phone number that was in this area at this time. So at the time or the area that, if they have a 3-hour window on when the bomb was planted, they search these cell towers of every phone pinging in that area. Then they go to the second bombing when that time hit, and they do the same search, and it figures out what phone numbers were there. And then they go to the third bombing, and they do the same search, and they figure out what phone numbers were there. And then they take all the phone numbers that were all. Now, that was a problem because when it was in the same area, everybody living in the area, their phone numbers are all going to be pinging. So you're going to have a lot of local residents getting that thing. But when you start switching areas, the odds of the same phone number coming up is less and less. So that's a pretty cool system that they have now. I don't remember them having that when I was there. Maybe they had it and we just didn't know how to put it in a search warrant. But I thought that was a nice thing. The photo at FedEx, a guy walking in with gloves to deliver packages in the middle of a serial bombing in and around the area where the bombings are taking place is a pretty big clue. I'm assuming FedEx personnel reported this. Now, whether or not it was followed up or whether the government did anything, they're not going to tell you they ignored the tip. But when the bomb went off, then they didn't ignore the tip. Again, government's not going to tell you their failures because their main purpose is to make themselves look competent and good. So he comes in with a wig. It's an obvious disguise. The employee said it was an obvious disguise. He has 2 packages. Now, for these 2 packages, for him to bring those in, he has to be pretty confident that he knows they're not going to go off and they're fairly safe. I'm assuming he put a timer. If you go to my other video to where I show the different timers, there's a timer that actually works as a trigger device. So if he sets the timer for an hour in this box, for an hour, it doesn't complete the connection to arm the box. So he could have a tamper switch. He could have, a motion, light, whatever switch he had in there, but it doesn't go active if he put a timer in between it, and then he set the timer, wrapped the packages, and then went and delivered them. And that way he would have an hour until the bomb actually, armed itself to where it could be triggered. Now, what he did, if he put a motion sensor in there, because FedEx, the time period or whatever, the timer probably ran out. It made the bomb arm, and then when it went on a conveyor belt, the motion activation set it off. And they're saying he used some people are saying he used a mousetrap. And if he used a mousetrap, it could be something like this. Basically, you put one wire. This wire leads to this, which is your negative or positive. The red positive wire is connected to the arm. So when the mousetrap is triggered, the arm swings over, makes contact with the negative and positive. So if he had something like this with that timer delay in it, and then the conveyor belt shook this and allowed the mousetrap to swing, that could have set the bomb off. Of course, the search warrant is going to be telling on that, whether or not. But remember, government, again, without the help of citizens, couldn't find him with all their technology and cell phones. FedEx had to give them the tip. FedEx had to say he came in with disguise. FedEx had the camera set up. You think government's paying businesses to put up cameras? You think government is paying FedEx to seize their videotape? No, it becomes evidence. We don't pay for it. We put it in a warrant. It becomes the government's. So, um, that's some of the issues. The other issues that came out is he bought some, they're saying exotic batteries online from Asia. I don't know if he ordered them from China or whatever, but uh, he ordered these special batteries. And again, ever since the first bomb, they have been finding, they want to find unique things in the bombing pattern so they can start searching where do you get these things, how are they bought, etc. And normally they'll look in the local area. But when they found these batteries from China, then they started looking online to see who ordered these batteries. And then you basically do reverse engineering or backtracking and you go, this battery is produced by this company. Let me see who they all distribute to. Then you go to the distributors and you go, hey, where have you shipped these? Do you have records of everybody shipped? Who has bought these batteries from Texas? And then you narrow it down to Texas. Well, who's bought them from the area of Austin? And then you narrow down the area. And it's pretty easy to once you get a specific thing you're looking for, you can locate it. Of the 2 packages shipped, only 1 blew up. So once that first bomb blew up, then they had the video of him bringing in 2 packages, so they knew who the addressees were and who the packages were going to. And then, of course, now they have 2 other suspects that they can say, do these 2 guys know any of the other victims? This guy was just bombing randomly. He wasn't picking anybody. Even though for 3 weeks they called him a racist, said he was a hate crime, said he was targeting blacks, made blacks victims, made white people bad for 3 weeks. And now at the end on his confession, they go, there was no mention of hate and no mention of he was targeting any color or specific group. But, for 3 weeks, they brainwashed everybody. And, of course, you can't unring that bell. But that's anything. Second vehicle tip, another tip that came out is when they found him and went to his roommate, they were sitting on him because his car was there or his car wasn't there, and they didn't know where he was at. So when one of the roommates left the apartment complex, they ripped him off, basically. And I tell a crazy cop story. We were looking for a guy. We did the same thing. And you grab somebody leaving the area. That way you have fresh, good intel, and you can tell whether he's being truthful or he's lying. And you find out if the guy's there. And that's where the roommate told him, no, he's not there. He's using this vehicle. He has 2 different vehicles. So we have a guy who's 24 with no job, went to college for 2 years, didn't graduate, and somehow he's got money to buy bombs. He's got money to have 2 cars, and he's making a living. How is that possible? Well, let's just say the parents loved him. Okay, so dad bought him a new house. If you read one of the articles, the house he was living in, him and his dad bought. That means dad bought it. The old story. Me and daddy shot a bear, or me and daddy killed a bear, but daddy shot it. Well, me and daddy bought a house, but daddy paid for it. So we have parents spoiling a kid, this entitled, we got to send him to college to be brainwashed, and then we'll buy him a house. He doesn't have a job, and now we're shocked that he could do something like that. We're so involved in his life that we have no idea that he's out there doing this. I don't want to hear that from the parents, but whatever. All right. In the video, they show where the car was stopped, and they're not saying they ran him off the road. I'm saying they ran him off the road. Well, I'll get back to the vehicle because I'm trying to find all these pictures, and I can't find it. So this is Mark here, the poor misunderstood kid. He doesn't look so white here. He looks tan. He looks like he could be of Asian or Middle Eastern or maybe Spanish or Hispanic descent. He just doesn't look really white here. Let's look at some other pictures that the media whitened him up. Oh, here he looks really white. Notice we lightened the background. We made him look really white. Looks like a different guy, really. I mean, I must be somehow, the left-wing media must have somehow just accidentally lightened up this picture a little more than it should have been. But anyway, such deception and lies. Wow, he really looks white when he's next to I don't know what I can say, what YouTube will allow me to call the other person. I can only say white's bad, and then I know I'm safe on YouTube. Okay, so here's the picture I was looking for when the van got pulled over. You notice police vehicle, undercover police vehicle, 3 white cars. And if you listen to some of the news reports, they say he pulled over into a bar ditch and detonated the bomb. Well, this kind of looks like he was rammed from the rear. It doesn't look like he pulled over. But Rick, the news media reported and the police gave statements that he pulled over and detonated the bomb for no reason. Okay, I don't buy it. This one picture right here tells me this car has rear damage here. It forced him off the road. This car rammed him. I don't have a problem with him using force to stop the guy. He was a fleeing felon. They knew he was killing people. They wanted to stop him. I don't have a problem with it. I just got a problem with the misdirection and the lies. This guy didn't pull over to a bar ditch like is being reported. He was ran off the road, rammed, and they're also saying he detonated a bomb and killed himself, and then they're saying they shot at him. Well, but they're not saying, did they shoot at him before the bomb went off, and did their shot cause the bomb to go off, and did they actually kill the guy because they shot the bomb accidentally? Or did the bomb go off, and when the officer went to the ground, the other officer shot instinctively because the bomb went off? I mean, shooting a guy after a bomb goes off seems a little unnecessary. I mean, unless the bomb went off and then he walked out of the ball of flame and then walked out, then shoot him, I got no problem with that. But if you listen to the news reports, nothing about the story, we're getting the good facts. He did not pull over voluntarily in a bar ditch, and the cops didn't respond and order him out of the vehicle, and then he blew himself up, and then the cops shot. We're getting, if you try and find out when the cops shot before or after the bomb, you can't find out. I think they rammed him, they got out of the car, he moved, they started shooting, and they shot the bomb, and it blew up. And now they're covering their butt. Are you telling me that they're going after the most wanted serial killer for the last 3 weeks, and somehow they followed the guy, because they didn't arrest him when they knew where he was. They followed him. They had officers watching him. They waited for the SWAT team. Are you telling me that none of these cars or SWAT team members had cameras to show? I mean, you know, these news agencies who are supposed to be reporting and digging for the truth could be getting all this through free press, FOIA requests, etc., and they don't. Nobody wants the truth. They just want to let the government run their agenda. You know, the only good thing about this guy is he did use a gun. Because had he used a gun, then you would have everybody screaming that it was the mean gun's fault, and that's why we need to get the guns. Because bombs are illegal already. Bombs are already outlawed. Nobody can buy bombs. Now you don't hear anything about the bomb being blamed. You only hear the white guy being blamed. So, as I said, I think they ran him off the road. If you look at the picture, it's pretty clear they ran him off the road. If you listen to all the reports, he pulled over to a bar ditch, and the officers tried to get him out, and he blew himself up. Man, that just stinks to high heaven. I'm sorry. Exotic batteries, I don't know why they're calling him that. Ordered online. He's got no job, no money. Was he on government assistance? Did anybody know if this guy's been getting aid, welfare, free college funds? Was he not using? How much fraud was going on? Now, Rick, we can't answer those questions. Let's see. He left a 25-minute confession, and there was no hate or terrorism in the confession. Matter of fact, the sheriff said he sounded like a poor, confused young man with a lot of problems. Okay, great. Let's see. The search warrant is sealed. Well, if he's dead and there's no other suspects, there's no reason for that search warrant to be sealed. Anyone can, any of the free press that wants to do their job, maybe the Daily Mail, because they're not run by the government, all the left-wing government that runs here, maybe the Daily Mail can do a FOIA request and get that judge to review that and say, why does it need to be sealed? Now, they're going to say it needs to be sealed because it contains specifics about the bomb and the bomb maker, and we don't want the public to know that. So we have to protect the public. We have to save them because we don't want them to know how the bomber fooled us and got away from us. Well, whatever. They said some materials bought at Home Depot. He was using shrapnel like nails and other things. That's probably what he bought at Home Depot. I mean, he had some pipe. He probably bought the pipe locally. I don't know whether he was using cash, whether he was using daddy's credit cards. Maybe mommy gave him a credit card, whatever. I mean, nobody's held responsible anymore. We're still not getting the whole information. The guy gave a 25-minute confession. Why aren't they releasing that? Well, I mean, how is that going to hurt the case? Why is that being held? This guy killed innocent people. Why can't the victim's family, and the people who paid probably $400 million for this investigation, have 500 officers, why can't the people who's paying for this hear this confession? No, only government, because they're wise and they know what to do with it, Rick. Man, we've lost this country so bad. Some of the items were purchased online. When he ordered it, they're saying he used the name of Kelly Kilmore. So that's a clue, Kilmore. He's using a fake name. I don't know how long they've known that. Once they get another name, especially a name that's not real and not in the system, doesn't have credit, doesn't have a driver's license. Oh, where's the other thing? I forgot to talk about the driver's license. So in this, Texas has a DL search database, and I guess it's one of the few states who can search driver's license with facial recognition. So once they got the suspect's picture from the FedEx, they were able to run his face through facial recognition. Now, they're not saying whether or not the system picked it up, whether it gave, 50 possible matches or 100. If you get 100 possible matches in the state of Texas, and then you narrow that down, all those matches that have a Austin or local address, and then you compare that to the FedEx, it's pretty easy to narrow down the guy. So they had a lot of breaks. I'm not sure how much the breaks were because of the great government assistance. Like I said, they were spending an inordinate amount of money, doing a lot of things. We still don't know anything about the Las Vegas shooting. How much money, are they still investigating that? Why aren't we told anything about that? Nah, you don't need to know, you stupid sheep. Just pay your taxes or we'll take your house. Pay your property taxes. Pay your regular taxes. Keep paying us. Let us do what we want. Shut up. Let the idiots at YouTube, Google, and everywhere else brainwash you into who's bad and who's good and what normal isn't. Let them ruin the country and destroy you to where pretty soon you or your kids won't make a living. You know what? That's the new America. I meant to show this other picture of more media bias. Picture of the poor black man killed. Picture of poor black man killed. FedEx. Woman injured. 2 men in their 20s injured. No picture. These were the white guys. Hispanic woman. No picture. See, when media does this inconsistent to where they only show certain people, it just shows their bias. And of course, government, they responded to 420 suspicious packages. They had 1,000 calls of suspicious packages since March 12th. So Austin PD is using this as an excuse to, when you call the police on why you don't get service, on why they don't take a report, on why they're too busy, this is why. When they file for their grant money and federal funds, they'll say all these man hours and all this time was on this bomber. They need help. And the government will give them large sums of money, not the government's money, taxpayer money, because they have all these large numbers and stats. So, look, crime is big business for government. They have no incentive to stop crime, to stop gun violence, to stop things, because they lose fundings when they have nothing to do. So crime keeps government in business. But anyway, I digress. All right. I'm fed up with all of it. All right. We'll end that there.